Hey guys, welcome to Xbox On. So I don't know about you, but I have a ton of bad gaming habits.
You have bad gaming habits? You mean like screaming at the TV, blaming someone else, like something is going wrong all the time?
Shut up, Benny. It's time to take a look at bad habits that every gamer has.
Gets angry.
Shh.
This entry is all about shooting your friends in the back, or to be more specific, trying to see whether the game that you're playing has friendly fire, as you can see here by my court-martial worthy efforts in Battlefield 1. In any and all games where you're put on a team, whether that team is AI or human controlled, I will always shoot them to work out whether my shots do damage or not. I'm like a scientist experimenting on things, only I don't have a white lab coat but a high-powered rifle instead. In Halo 4's case, the experiment is a success, and my conclusion is that teammates do indeed feel pain. On easy mode you can shoot or melee teammates as much as you like, but on higher difficulties they'll start shouting that you've gone mad and start shooting you right back. Yep, I deserve that. It's as that old saying goes, never pick on anyone smaller than you, as they're way more dangerous. Some games have kind of a friendly fire middle ground. In Rayman Legends, your attacks do affect your friends, and you can bash them around and everything, but you don't actually damage them. Unless, you happen to knock them into a flaming pit. In any case, hitting everyone around you whilst playing games is important. If it turns out you can kill your allies, then you'll be a bit more careful around them. And if your allies aren't programmed to feel pain, then great, you can run around pummeling them into the ground.
When developers give us the power to save our progress whenever we want, only one thing is going to happen. We're going to abuse that sucker. I'm so bad for this in Hitman, saving every 15 seconds because you never know when a random guard will clock that shiny bald head and see right through your pathetic disguise. Or you can get nervous that people are looking at you and lose your cool. Saving this often makes the game a bit too easy, but I'd rather that than losing all of my progress because I got caught trying to enter a wheelbarrow race with a corpse, or whipped out my gun and blew my cover to smithereens. Note to self. Chefs do not carry guns. I find myself saving a lot in Skyrim too, mainly so I can sneak up on giant camps and get that sweet double damage bonus. Well, you have to get off to a good start, don't you? What's the point of even fighting if I don't get at least one cheap sucker punch? Mammoths are dangerous, so I'll take all the advantage I can get. I've also been known to save my game before going on mad robbing sprees in Skyrim or Fallout shops, because who knows when the merchant will come back and catch you red-handed. Basically, I'm just incredibly devious, and when I have the power to record my progress at literally any opportunity, you're either going to end up with all of your worldly possessions in my pockets or shot in the back.
Now, this is one bad habit that I know I'm terrible at, and I'm sure you're the exact same if you've ever played any multiplayer game with a leaderboard. No matter how well or bad you're doing, after every kill or every objective captured, you take a quick look at the leaderboard to see how well you're doing. You'll even do it mid-firefight just out of habit, which will quite often get you killed and end up with you rushing as quickly as possible back into the action so you don't drop down the leaderboard. Now, you know you shouldn't be doing it, because let's be honest, the only time the leaderboard actually matters is at the end of a game. Otherwise, you just end up putting unnecessary pressure on yourself, but there's no better feeling than after you've had an incredible start to a game to see that you're miles ahead of your teammates on the leaderboard, which some players will like to constantly remind you of. Players like Lydia. So if you can, try to stamp this habit out of your game.
I'll be surprised if you've not got this next habit, and that's wasting time trying to interact with every bit of the game world. It's a time-wasting habit, but at the same time, it's great fun. That's why the opening act of Prey was so glorious, as you could pick up your slippers and fling them at the wall, turn on the tap and watch the water splash into the sink, operate the oven and plonk objects down on the hob, and smash cups on the floor. You could even try and flush a ladle down the toilet, then put that ladle back on the kitchen counter like that's a normal thing to do. See what happens when environments are interactive? It's chaos! Take that, cherished family picture! And that chair. It's great when environments are made to be destroyed, like in GTA 5. Every burger and condiment in this food cart is breakable, and the pressurized tank blasts you 10 feet in the air. This is a great example of the dangers of shooting first and asking questions later. The question in this case being, why must I break every damn thing? And check out the popping animations for these beach balls and these rows of very kickable suitcases. Destroying stuff like this is antisocial and likely to get you arrested by the cops of Los Santos, but testing a game's destructibility is always a good time. And what about Overwatch, where the beginning of a round is purposefully designed to let you go nuts? Whilst you wait for your character to ready themselves, you've got free reign to embark on a mad breaking spree in your base. Hanamura has an arcade parlor to ruin, and watching individual soda cans tumble out of vending machines is always fun, whilst unleashing Winston's Tesla cannon against Eichenwald medieval weaponry is addictive. Destroying my base is so fun that I'll sometimes forget the match has started, which is pretty bad, and that's why this is another dumb habit a lot of us do.
This one's a classic. Hoarding rare power weapons and never getting around to using them. You want to save them for emergencies, but like, what if there's an even bigger emergency? I don't know about you, but I always do this in Fallout 4. Even when there's a super mutant, I'll neglect my power weapons and fire at him with things like my junk jet, stuffing its barrel with battered clipboards and baby rattles and whittling his health down by launching pure rubbish at him. I've got missiles and mini nukes, but I'm saving them for when like 10 super mutants attack me. The thing is, when I do decide to use my power weapons, it's on enemies that don't need such firepower. A mini nuke against a mole rat is overkill, but hey, you can't let this stuff go to waste. I'll always default to my least powerful weapon in Resi 7 as well. When I'm at the start of the game and I can choose between a knife and a pistol, I'll choose the knife. And later, when it's a choice between a shotgun and a grenade launcher, I'll use the shotgun. I'm only using the bomb here for the purposes of this video. I've literally never seen it explode before. I also never deploy my recycler charges in Prey purely because they're so powerful and I'm always waiting for that perfect moment. The good thing is that if I ever stumble across a mountain of plastic Coke can rings, I've got just the thing to break it all down. I might not kill all the aliens, but I'll save Earth's sea life.
Here's another bad habit I have, and please forgive me for this, but in games where you can team up with people, sometimes, and only sometimes, I'll hang back and let everyone else do the work before picking up the rewards. I know, it's awful. Let me give you an example. In Destiny 2, you can swing by a public event incredibly late and still get to crack open the loot chest at the end despite only catching the tail end of it. Everyone else in your session did the hard work and you just picked up the scraps for little to no effort. The great thing is I get all the engrams and loot whilst doing only a fraction of the work. I will cheer them on with dancing whilst they're at it though, just to give them a bit of encouragement. I'm the squad's hype man. Monster Hunter World got wise to all of this. If you join a game that's been going for 10 minutes or more, you'll earn less rewards. They say it right there in the menu at the bottom. They don't say anything about a game that's been going for 9 minutes though. Sure, it's not in keeping with the spirit of the game, but sometimes you have to take whatever you can get. And what you can get here is monster body parts. Free monster body parts, as many as your guilty conscience will allow.
This is one bad habit that I have definitely noticed getting worse ever since I've started playing a lot more games like PUBG and Fortnite, because it's so easy to forget about the timer before the zone starts to shrink, because you're either doing some looting or trying to get a kill, and before you know it, you're in some desperate sprint to try and make it into the zone before the blue wall of death kills you. But the timer isn't just important in Battle Royale game modes, but game modes like Search and Destroy in Call of Duty, where you have to give yourself enough time to plant or defuse the bomb to win the round, and just sometimes if you forget about the clock in a gunfight, you may just end up losing the round because of it.
I don't know about you, but I'm never happy with my custom character, and I always want to change it about an hour into the game. In Mass Effect Andromeda, for example, I left the character creator perfectly happy with my dashing space captain and soon-to-be friend of all aliens. But one close-up later, and I'm already dissatisfied. My nose didn't look that big before, and what's with my weird squinty eyes? They're way too small for my head. What looks fine when you're in an otherworldly dimension that is the character creation screen looks very strange when you're in the game world, standing next to what a person is supposed to look like. Destiny 2 is pretty notorious for never letting you get a second shot at reshaping yourself. The options are plentiful and you can be cool robots and blue mohawk dudes, but once you leave that screen, that's it. You've got to look at that stupid orange fringe for hundreds of hours. Ugh, what was I thinking? It's my fault, really. Games have amazingly versatile character editors, and I can create whoever I want, but in the end, I always end up with some sort of defect, and old women laugh at me. Life is cruel.
So here's how your first attempt at tackling a stealth section usually goes. You come in with the best intentions, sneaking around all quietly, knocking people out rather than killing them, and taking your time to do things perfectly with zero mistakes. One silly mess up later and you completely change your approach. No one has time to do all that creeping around again, so instead you whip out your gun and absolutely cheese it. Rather than punching them with sleep-causing fists, now you're shooting everyone with death-causing bullets, aggro all the enemies in the area. Chances are you'll win, but in an incredibly loud fashion, and one that felt like a last resort. This is not the way you play Watch Dogs 2, a game about being a cool hacker in San Francisco. Cool hackers in San Francisco don't grab pistols and commit multiple homicides against security guards. But that's what happens when you run out of patience. I'll do it in Assassin's Creed Origins 2. I'm there riding up to a camp and scouting it out with my eagle, then being all good by quietly dispatching each guard with my hidden blade, and yeah, I've been spotted and out comes the axe. All this fighting is just so less civilized than the stealth approach, and it leaves you covered in a lot more blood. But I suppose once the cat's out the bag, you can do things like shoot vultures with mounted crossbows and set things on fire. Oh, what the hell. Unleash the lion!
Here's something I think we all do, rummaging through game worlds to pick up anything that's not nailed down. I ruin games for myself by doing this. The first thing I do when I enter a level isn't work out where I want to go or what I need to do next, it's to scan the floor for stuff to cram into my pockets. Monster Hunter World is gorgeous, but all I'm after is paratoads and vigor wasps I can snag in my net. I don't know whether I need this stuff or not, so it's best to just collect it whilst I'm here. I can't see the wood for the trees, and if I could, I'd probably try and chop that wood up and stash it in my bottomless backpack. South Park has some of my favourite trash items that slowly fill up my inventory over the course of the game. There are broken beer bottles and fidget spinners and boomerangs. Well, who knows when an orange mug will come in handy. It's pretty good no one minds you going into their house and taking their things, because otherwise it could get pretty awkward. Realistically, I'm only going to need about 10% of this trash in the long run, but when you've got infinite carrying capacity and no morals, well, this is what happens.
So there we have it, a load of bad habits that every gamer has. Do make sure to let us know which ones you have down in the comments below, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on another video.
And don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.